YouTube, what's going on? Real quick before we start this tutorial, man, I just want to thank you guys. The support has been amazing lately. The channel has been booming. It's been growing ever since we started this almost daily upload grind. So I want to thank you guys for that real quick. Other thing is I'm in Atlanta Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. I think that's like the 8th, the 9th, and the 10th for the Bronner Brother Hair Show in ATL. We're at booth number 1601. So if you want to stop by, say what's up, see us cut live, do demonstrations, and come check out the booth, that'd be amazing. We're gonna also have a panel, I believe, on Sunday. So come check those things out, man. I will be vlogging the whole experience, the whole weekend. So definitely check out that next upload. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that. Let's get started.
Damn it.
YouTube, what's going on? We got another video on the road to 500K, almost daily content. I'm in Atlanta for the Bronner Brothers show this weekend, but we still gonna be dropping content. There's a 1.5 guard. We're starting with the foundation of this cut. I'm doing a 1.5 with the grain and then flipping it over and going against the grain once we get around the cheek area. So I'm going to start this off by lining him up, just a quick rough draft, because this is going to be a lower taper with a ghost line. If you guys don't know what a ghost line is, it's pretty much a bald taper while still trying to keep the lineup area dark. So if you notice the way that I start my initial guideline, we're going to do the same thing on both sides, but I'm going to do one side at a time. Now this side is a little bit of a smaller space than the other side, and I think you'll notice it, but sometimes that happens with braids. Sometimes they take more hair from one side and less from the other, and that typically sometimes that happens, but you know what? I don't mind it. Like, I think sometimes as barbers, it's important, don't get me wrong, to get both sides symmetrical and try to balance those two, but nobody's perfect, and very rarely you're gonna be able to get somebody to get both sides of their head to look exactly the same, especially when we're talking about tapers and tapers with cornrows. So we did the blade open, and now we're doing the one open. We're gonna close the one all the way, and we're starting to blend down, take out that first initial guideline that you saw with this half guard. Okay, once we've done that, now it's time to take out that bottom line. So my blade's all the way open. Now we're going to close it as we go down until we remove that bottom line. And anyway, so to finish up the last point I was making, if it's not perfect, it's okay. Nobody's perfect, and nobody really, like, you can't really look at both sides of somebody's head. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody's gonna be in a conversation with this guy and be like, hey, I noticed, you know, looking at you, both sides aren't exactly the same, if that makes sense. It's impossible to see both sides, you feel me? So as long as they're as close as possible, that's what matters. Now I will say this, and notice as I'm blending his beard in, I went from the 1.5 guard against the grain, then the one open, then the one close, and at this point, going through the same exact process, we're at the blade open and we're starting to close it until that line is gone and it's blended into the bald area we first started. I'm staying away the whole time from the lineup area. You can see it's not perfectly blended where I'm lining him up right now, but that's okay, because as we refine this line, I can go in and kind of detail it and get it to look a little bit more blended while still keeping that dark lined area. It's almost going to look enhanced before we enhance it. That's the idea. Alright, so you can see now I'm using my half guard at the line. That's still going to keep the line dark, and you can see I'm kind of going at an angle using my corners and not necessarily cutting right through the ghost line, but getting really close and just trying to blend it as good as possible while still maintaining that lineup area. So you can see it's starting to look a lot better. Now here's somewhere where I made a mistake, and if my model is watching, I apologize ahead of time, because I'm using a 1.5 guard against the grain on this side to blend it into the beard. Because if you notice, he had some new growth, and I asked him, do you want to kind of blend that new growth in, or do you want me to bring the beard down to the original lined area. He said, you know what, I want to keep it as wide as possible, so if you could try to blend it in and keep it as high as possible, this line right here, that would be awesome. So we didn't go down to the original lineup where he had it before. We blended it in. You can already see it looks a lot better, and then we're gonna line it up with the razor and keep the beard as high as possible. Now, where I made a mistake, and you're gonna see it on the other side, is I didn't do the 1.5 against the grain around this area on the other side. I went with the grain. I didn't see, you know what I'm saying, it didn't have any new growth like this side did, and I didn't really think about it because I know you guys see the people in the background. I was teaching a class, so I wasn't 100% focused on that. So I was recording a YouTube video, teaching a class, and this is the first time I cut his hair, so I was trying to balance all that, and I just didn't think about it, you know. So anyways, this is super important. You guys notice I kind of flipped his head over to the side a little bit. I just made sure that I was going against the grain to get that lineup as sharp as possible. And look how good that's looking. In my opinion, it looks amazing. So I'm going back and detailing, because I always tell you guys it's all in the details. So we're gonna keep this color enhancement as natural as possible. You can see it almost doesn't look like I'm even adding color. And it's not going to, it's not, like, for me, I like it to look as natural as possible. So you're not really gonna see you know, the enhancement pop, let's say, until I do this portion right here where I line it up. And I'm sorry about all the popping. I need to get like a pop filter or something. All right, so we're now lining up his front hairline. And you can see I started on this corner for a reason. Like, this corner is a little bit lighter just because there's actually hair being pulled from this corner to that cornrow there. So I don't know if that's the best placement of a cornrow to take hair from his recession. It kind of makes that corner a little bit lighter. But I started there and I try to keep it as natural as possible, and then we're working it over to the other side while still trying to keep it symmetrical. So once we've done that side, we'll go ahead and start to taper this side. Now I only did it in 2 separate sides again because you see the people in the background. We were teaching a 4-day hands-on course, and to tell you guys how this came about, this haircut, I was actually doing theory, and I had just got done doing what I thought was a blurry fade. Wish you guys could have seen it. And I double booked myself. So they had booked a YouTube haircut, and I had a 4-day course on the same day, and they came in at like 11:30, and I'm like, oh, are you guys here to see my wife? Because I figured, because one of the barbers that was with him had really curly hair, so I figured maybe he was here to get his hair cut or something. I don't know. He's like, nah, we got a YouTube haircut with you. And the class was actually, they're like, yeah, we want to see you record a YouTube video, and this is a low taper. We want to see that too. So it kind of worked out perfectly, I feel like. And we're doing the same thing on this side. You guys saw I started with my 1 open, my 1 close, my half guard, and now I'm going back to my blade open and blending down to take out that bottom line. And of course, guys, if I'm going on little rants here and there, the color guide is on the bottom left corner to keep you organized and with me. All right, and you guys can see I'm using the right corner of my blade. I'm not cutting that ghost line area. I'm trying to keep that dark in that space. You can especially see it here with my trimmers, where I got really close to that dark line area, but not quite. So we're gonna line it up now. So this is the part where I'm using the 1.5 guard, and I didn't run it into the new growth here like I did on the other side. So although I think barbers you guys will probably notice because you're watching this video, but I don't think, maybe he didn't even notice. I don't know, I gotta ask him. But when I show you guys both sides at the end, you're gonna see that this side of the beard was darker than the other side, and I'm so sorry. It's still gonna look good, guys. All right, but now that I'm putting this line, this razor on it, you can see that ghost line really starting to pop, man. And then the enhancement's just gonna complement it, I feel like. I just noticed that tattoo by his ear. It's pretty dope. The razor handle. But also I feel like this side is parted higher anyways, so there's more room to taper on that side due to how the cornrows are set as well. All right, so here you guys can see I'm pulling kind of like the tail of the cornrow up, and I'm getting just right beneath it. Just because the comb or the comb attachment is kind of going into the braid doesn't mean it's cutting anything. So but you got to be careful, because if you go up too high, you will cut that braid. You know what I'm saying? That tail will detach from his scalp, and then you'll ruin his cornrows. So you got to be careful with that. But we're getting as light as possible, as close as possible to the roots of this braid. And now we can go ahead and start the taper process, and it's the same process, right? We're going to use the trimmers, put that line in, and then go through our steps. All right, so the next step is the blade open. We're just putting our guidelines in with the blade open and then the one open, and we'll blend down from there. All right, so we got the one open, then we're gonna do the one close, and then the half guard. And guys, what I'm gonna start doing is every tutorial that I drop on YouTube, there will be a 30-minute version in the Academy. So if you're an Academy member, just check up on the Academy, log in, and when you scroll down, you'll see these 30-minute long, more in depth, more detailed, slowed down videos. All right, and here's the half guard we talked about using. And the blend's almost done. Like, we haven't even gone to the blade open and started taking out that bottom line. It almost looked like there isn't a bottom line. All right, so now we have the blade open, and little by little we're starting to close the lever until it's completely blended at the bottom. I just want to shout out one of the last classes of the 4-day hands-on course. We got Danny, Lakia, we got Kel, we got and I'm sorry, I'm fumbling over here just trying to go through all my peoples. So I said Lakia, said Danny, said Kel, Felipe, Fresco, and last but not least, Alex. Shout out to my 4-day class here. All right, now we're starting to put the line back here. You don't necessarily have to go behind the ear. You can see that the hair that's behind the ear is already incorporated in the braid, so I'm not gonna line that up. So now we're gonna enhance the cut, and we're, again, subtle enough to complement his hair. It don't need to be super sharpie dark. But I think the enhancement's definitely gonna set this cut off. The C cup already is like, I feel like it looks enhanced, but we're gonna complement it. Okay, and in the mustache area, when I'm lining up around the lip line and underneath the nose and around the chin, I really try not to touch my client's face that much. I try not to make them, you know, blow air anywhere, or I want them to be comfortable. The only thing I usually do is ask them to make one facial expression that helps me get above the mustache area, and you'll see it in a little bit. And on the mustache area, I always put shave gel. I have a mustache, and when people try to dry shave it, it kills me. So this is the facial expression I ask my clients to do. That just helps me get above the mustache. But everything else, I kind of finesse myself. I'll stretch out, you know, like right here, I'm stretching out his face to get into tight spots, and I use my corners of my blades. So you can see this side of his temple definitely has, there's less room to like, there's less space to taper, if that makes any sense. Like the braid starts lower on this side than it does on the other side. And not knocking his braid or anything like that, I was just saying that that can play a part, and it's not a big deal in how you taper people with braids. But look at this angle, that thing look clean. Hairline sharp, taper clean. Finish it off with the shaver, guys. And this is the before. Now look at the after. Ooh, boy. If you're new to the channel, man, please do subscribe. If you like what you see, let me know in the comments, man. Show me love. Like, it always feels good to know that, you know, we're helping in some way, shape, or form. And then smash the like button. I appreciate you guys. As always, see you on the next video. We on the road to 500K, almost daily content. I'm out.